Alright, so this is kind of my walkthrough of how I update each of these F3 mini coupons. So I'm going to give you a quick tour of that. This is my template that I start with. I'll give you a kind of a quick run through with SketchUp in case you're not familiar with the software. I'm trying to think. I know these are the toolbars that I turn on typically. The styles and the views are up here. Those are the ones that kind of give me the best perspective of what am I looking at and how am I looking at it. So top of the house would be top of the coupon. You kind of go to this isometric view to get a nice angle, or you can look at each individual side, kind of walking around things. You can also use your mouse wheel. If you click down on your mouse wheel, you'll see that little kind of icon that the cursor turned into. And it might take a second to get used to it, but it's a means of rotating things around. I'm holding the mouse wheel down while I do this right now. If I hold down the Shift key and use the mouse wheel, that lets me pan. You can see it once I click, it turns into that little hand. I'm holding the Shift key down on the keyboard. And that way, if you're zoomed in really close and you just want to move over, hold down Shift, click with the mouse wheel, and you can kind of drag over and move things around. I'm using the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Wherever your mouse cursor is where it's going to zoom in. So if I put my cursor over the 3, it'll zoom in on the 3, and it'll zoom out from the 3 there. If I put my cursor over here kind of on the side, it'll zoom out from there as well. So it kind of zooms in and out to wherever your cursor is. So it might take you a second to get used to that if you're not familiar with it. What else? If you want to see all the elements, because you notice this is not a single solid object. It's made up of surfaces and lines. You can change the view. What toolbar is that? It's the Styles toolbar. I tend to use one of these wireframe views most often. I usually just leave it on my shaded and then turn on or off the X-ray. You want to download a older version of SketchUp. So SketchUp moved to like an online only model that's a paid subscription version. They used to all be locally installed software. 2017 was the last one I found that works well with the STL export and a few other things. I know that's like 7 years ago, but it was actually solid software. I'd been using it since well before that. Not that version, obviously, but using SketchUp since well before that. I did find this download at CNET because the official SketchUp that's now owned by Trimble, they don't host or share some of their older versions anymore. This particular download is a good clean one. I've already vetted that. You're welcome to hit that. You'll also need the Sketchup STL extension, and that's straight from their SketchUp extensions warehouse. So I'll give you the link to that. This is the tool that allows you to export to an STL file so that you can put it in your slicer software for your 3D printing. You will probably have to create an account and log in, but it's a free account. This will probably tell you to sign in if you're not actually signed in yet. And for this particular project, you'll want the Army font. Here's one place I found to download it from. It is kind of a particular font to match the logo that we're working with for F3. When you hit download font, it's probably going to pop up another one of these ads that has another download link on it. I hate ads that say download because that's trying to trick you into downloading something else. But anyway, scroll down, hit this download font. If you see another thing that says download again, don't do that. Just say, ignore this and skip it, and it should immediately kind of download and download the font file, the zip file. Once you have all those downloaded, you'll install the SketchUp. Inside of SketchUp, you'll go to Windows, Extension Manager, and you'll install the STL extension that you downloaded. And you'll want to also, for the font, you'll need to extract it. Probably don't have some of the other stuff, so I'm just going to say extract it into an Army folder. I'm going to go into that folder, I'm going to right click, and you're going to say install for all users. Not just install, that won't necessarily make it useful for all software. So install for all users. We'll make sure that all software can see and access that new font. Cool. So once you've installed the software, you've added the extension to it, you've got the font ready to go, now you're ready to mess with this. This is my template file, coupon template. This text down here is just my reminder. I have two different fonts, one called Army and one called Stencil. I couldn't find a download for my Stencil font, and so I gave you a download for the Army font that looks exactly like this one. That way you're at least coming out with the same thing. One quick note, if you notice you look down at the top of this coupon, and if you're kind of paying attention, this wall is a little thinner than this wall. That's on purpose right now. That will be addressed when we put the text on the side and get the name set up, kind of following these little reminders here. So I'm going to go to this 3D text tool. Sometimes it takes a moment to launch. You see my cursor's not changing anymore. It's giving me the blue circle of... It's not a circle of death this time. It just takes it a moment to launch. And it might be because I have hundreds of fonts on my computer that I've added. So that might be my own fault. There we go. You're going to enter the name that you want to put on the stencil. If it's kind of a long name and you can break it into 2 lines, you probably want to do that here. If it's just a long name, you might have to kind of scale it down once you try to put it on the stencil and see what happens. These notes down here are reminders. So you're going to pick your Army font, because that's one you just downloaded. You're going to make sure it's center aligned, so if you have multiple lines, they line up well. You're going to not extrude right now. You could, but it gets messy. It's a lot easier if you don't extrude. And you're going to set the height to 4 millimeters. You're going to say place. I didn't mean to put it down beside the coupon. Let me delete that and do that again. So we're going to hit the 3D text tool and wait for it to load. I have a whole lot of fonts on this system, so it takes a minute for it to load this dialog box. If you haven't tinkered with downloading hundreds or, well, in my case, maybe thousands of fonts, that should pop up a lot faster. Alright, you want to make sure your font is set to Army. Align is set to center. You want regular, 4 millimeter, and we do not want to extrude. I know this says extrude, but I'm going to show you that here in just a second. That's kind of a long name in this case, so I'm going to get rid of the space, put it on 2 lines. If you don't get rid of the space, it kind of offsets things. They're not center aligned anymore, so I try to make sure those spaces are gone when I move it down. I'm going to say place. And you'll notice it's trying to just kind of snap to whatever I'm hovering over. I want it on the face of this coupon. I'm going to, even in the middle of this mode, I'm going to click with my mouse wheel and drag it around a little bit so I can see better. And then I'm going to zoom in just by scrolling on the mouse wheel. And I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm trying to get it roughly centered. Same thing with top to bottom. We'll put that down there. So now that we have the text on the side of the coupon, we need to make it 3D. One of the things you need to do before you can do that is, you'll notice all the text is kind of grouped together. Until you get the text moved and positioned the way you want it, don't explode it. So you can, if you're on this move tool here, once you put your mouse over the text, you can actually grab these little red nodes to kind of rotate things. Once you get it where you want it, then you're going to explode it. So it'll no longer be grouped together. It's now kind of like the coupon was, just a whole bunch of individual lines and surfaces. You'll notice, though, if I pick on the background here, not on the letters, but the background behind them, everything on the surface except for the F3 logo and the text is highlighted. It's exactly what we want. We want to take that surface and pull it out with this push-pull tool. I'm going to click on there, and you can drag and drop it as far as you like. You can even type in a number right now, and it'll pull it out that distance. Or just move your mouse to the surface of this circle where the F3 logo is, and it'll match that exactly. And that's it. I'm going to go back to the select tool, delete these little reminders. So I'll save it as the SketchUp file, SKP. But then after that's saved, I'll come back and export the STL. You'll export that millimeters in ASCII and hit export, and it'll pop up asking for where to save the STL file. And that's it. You should be able to take that STL file into your slicer and 3D print it. Have fun.